Republicans are meeting. I guess Mike Johnson has everybody down there in the basement in I'm not sure which congressional office space. No word as to whether he's checking their computers for having viewed porn. That would be an interesting thing for him to do. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about this. Apparently, he does that with his son.
He needs to.
His 17-year-old son. They check each other.
They hold each other accountable on jerking off, which is healthy.
That's not fully accurate.
Okay.
It's watching pornography.
Understood. I'm sorry.
It's not. I don't think they get in the showers with each other or anything like that. I mean, I don't think they're like constantly, or they have like,
well, if they were, we know
some type of like, maybe there's something you could put on like a Fitbit. Mm-hmm. And, or would send a message to each other.
Chastity Fitbits.
Yes.
Right.
Actually.
Monitoring people's pulse and heart rate.
Just in case you were wondering
to get closer to God.
What my side hustle was going to be. Yeah, now I know what it is. A new Fitbit. We're all gonna be in a group together with our Fitbits, and we're
chastity rings, but not the ring that goes on your finger. Sorry.
There are. Oh God. There are.
We went down this road.
No, I didn't go that far. We are 10 days from a government shutdown, and essentially, what is the sort of the big story is that the Senate is not really terribly interested in the games that the Republicans in the House want to play. And by the Senate, I'm talking also a significant portion of the Republican senators, because they know there's an election coming up. And Republicans will clearly be blamed for a government shutdown because they are clearly causing it. There are like three ideas apparently that Johnson is considering. This is from Punchbowl. One is called the laddered continuing resolution. I can't even begin to understand it. It is a made-up thing that the Freedom Caucus people have come up with, where essentially they would just
tier the funding bills of, like, there's 12. 4 would be on the December track. 8 would be on the January track, but this is just like a redux of what was done that almost led us to the government shutdown at the end of September, right?
It's a completely like bizarro thing that apparently people in the Senate have never even heard of. That's not going to go anywhere, although that will help sink any type of Republican efforts in the House.
We have a clip of Johnson explaining the laddered CR.
Let's hear this.
Yeah. It's nonsensical, but this is what the Freedom Caucus wants. And this is this guy's, supposedly closer to this group of crazies than McCarthy.
Can you just tell us more specifically when you expect to make a decision on a CR? Because again, just being 11 days, we're getting very close to that clock. Also, can you walk us through this ladder CR approach for people who may not understand that, and why consider something new when you're less than 2 weeks out?
Well, listen, our number one objective here is to take care of our obligations and do it in a responsible manner. We want to be good stewards of the public's treasury and treasure. And because we're in the situation that we're in, deeply in debt, we have to do this. We have to think about this differently. So with regard to the ladder CR, or maybe a two-tiered CR, it's one of the ideas that has been discussed. There's nothing magical or mysterious about it. It would just be effectively 2 phases. You would do one part, a subset of the bills by a December date, and the rest of it by a January date. The other alternative is a CR that would go into January with certain stipulations. But again, I'm not going to show you all the cards right now. We have some very constructive, and I think very positive discussions going on. I think it should be palatable to our colleagues in the Senate, because they understand we've got to get the job done. I'll tell you, I'm very encouraged, and I think the American people are encouraged when they see the hard work that's being done here. We made a commitment that we will get back to the business of actually passing appropriations bill.
But they won't. They won't get this. Incidentally, they're also breaking the deal that they signed with the Democrats. What was it, like 5 or 6 months ago now?
Yep.
So
Summer.
the Senate doesn't seem to have any interest in this. If I had to bet, they're going to do a clean continuing resolution. I don't know if that goes into January, but it's also possible that the Senate will send a huge omnibus bill that will both effectively approve the budget and include the $100 billion of Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan border aid. There's a couple other smaller things in there for domestic stuff. Basically, the war supplementary to supplement the massive military budget we have. That's what we're looking at.
And then, that would be a way to peel off some of those Republicans in purple states who want to avert a government shutdown for their own electoral chances. And they also want to get Israel this money so they can continue their mass murders in Gaza. But that's what the Senate is prepping. But also Mike Johnson would have to bring that up for a vote, right? And maybe he wouldn't do that.
Well, I don't know what they would have to do. I mean, they could avoid bringing up the bill from the Senate, but the idea that you have the entire Senate saying Mike Johnson, including Mitch McConnell, saying Mike Johnson won't hold a vote on this is it's going to put him in a very tough position, because the real position that's going to be tough is for those 18 Republicans who come from a Joe Biden district.
Yep.
And, regardless of Joe Biden's favorability numbers, the bottom line is those are people who want government to function, and they're going to have to go back to their constituents and say, why are you supporting Mike Johnson when you've shut down the government?
And you also, I think, now have to worry a little bit about when you're tethering Israel aid to the government, to the omnibus bill, some of these squad members who are growing increasingly vocal about saying that we shouldn't be sending aid to Israel in any way right now until they commit to not doing any more war crimes. That's also a possibility just to monitor.
Well, yeah, I just don't know that they'll get a chance. They won't make the difference in the vote. It's either, if the vote comes up, it's going to get enough Democrats and enough Republicans who want to avoid a government shutdown, where those 18 Democrats aren't going to make a difference at that point.
But
guess.
There's 18 purple state Republicans. It's almost equivalent to that number.
I don't think that we're going to see a situation where only 18 of those defect in terms of the Republicans.
I
think it's going to be that those 18 are going to freak out. But I mean,
just
the
something
scenario you're talking about is I guess conceivable.
It's plausible. It's just something to look at.
But those 18, your addition is wrong, because if the other 200, if the other 190 Democrats vote with the other, with
the 18.
Well, I guess you're saying there would only be 18 that would vote. I don't think there's not going to be. Mike Johnson's not going to bring up a bill where only 18 Republicans are going to vote for it. They're going to have to all get along to.
But then we're back to square one. Is like, will he bring it up then? Because they're so insane, and we're literally in the same situation we were in September, because they don't want to vote for an omnibus bill.
That's what we're going to find out. And they may make a deal, like they will finally get their ability to vote for. Banning abortion, banning any type of birth control.
Wokeness.
All of it. Right now, the Democrats are already starting to fund and place ads in based on these spending bills for those Republicans we were talking about. Because some of these bills that they're talking about are really nuts. They're going to, try and cut school funding. They're going to try and outlaw abortion federally. It's going to be a whole series of these things. Agriculture cuts. There's just a bunch of stuff.